The morning fog enveloped New Karachi's lower districts like a veil, yet Liana navigated through it with a deft familiarity. Her weathered boots splashed through puddles as she maneuvered through the narrow alleyways nestled between towering hab blocks. In her hands, she held a modest thermal container, nothing extravagant, just some leftover rice and synthesized protein from the diner where she toiled through double shifts. "Good morning, dear companion," she whispered gently as she neared the well-known nook where the extraterrestrial remained still against the dirty wall. The being was unlike anything found in the conventional xenobiology literature. His elongated limbs looked frail, his pale blue skin adorned with complex silver designs that appeared to move in the subdued light. Most striking were his eyes, large and shimmering, orbs that contained profound intelligence despite his seemingly vulnerable state. The townsfolk referred to him as the cripple, displaying their usual human indifference, yet Liana had never inquired about his name. She merely referred to him as a companion. For 3 months now, she had been delivering meals to him. It began when she found him slumped in this alley, obviously in dire need of sustenance. As the crowd rushed by, some casting glances of disdain and others filled with trepidation, Liana took a moment to kneel beside him, offering her lunch. "I prepared more today," she said softly as she did each morning. She positioned the container within his grasp and took a seat next to him for a brief while, as had become their customary practice. The extraterrestrial, who had long ago revealed his name as Kethvar in a hushed tone, managed a subtle nod. His kind, the Zephyrians, expressed themselves in part through glowing patterns, yet his ailment had reduced those lights to faint, barely noticeable glimmers. "The cafe is becoming more crowded," Liana remarked, engaging in small talk. "Additional vessels are arriving via the jump gate. Raza believes it stems from a significant trade agreement, but I find the intricacies of that political realm quite perplexing." Kethvar's gaze locked onto her with that unmistakable fervor. At times, she pondered the thoughts that occupied his mind during those extended hours. She was absent. At times, she noticed him gazing at the sky, his face reflecting a sentiment that felt distinctly reminiscent. "I must take my leave," she stated, rising and dusting off her attire. "The morning shift is about to begin, but I'll catch up with you later tonight. All right?" As she departed, she overlooked the gentle azure radiance that throbbed from Kethvar's designs, a message that ascended through the air and transcended the planet's gravitational pull. Raza was already preparing the kitchen when Liana arrived at Mama Chen's diner, but he appeared distressed. His deep gaze locked onto hers over the bubbling surface of the griddle. "Did you catch the news?" he inquired without any introduction. "What updates?" Liana fastened her apron, sensing the peculiar strain in his tone. "The Zephyrian Trade Consortium has just declared their withdrawal from the Terran sector. Absolute restriction. Cease all exports of rare earth materials, halt the supply of medical goods, and stop everything else." Raza turned the page. "A protein patty with an excessive amount of strength. The governor is convening urgent meetings. There are discussions among certain individuals regarding the accumulation of food supplies." Liana scowled. What could possibly motivate them to take such action? "I believed the connections were positive. No one is aware." The announcement merely mentioned the search for a missing dignitary and the need to reevaluate the value of humans as trade partners. Raza inclined his head in disapproval. "The timing is quite unfortunate. Half of the medical equipment in the colony operates using Zephyrian power cells." The day unfolded in a haze of anxious patrons and muted exchanges. All had their own interpretations: corporate deceit, political machinations, concealed human hostility that had ultimately driven the extraterrestrials beyond their limits. The Zephyrian Trade Consortium held sway over 17 star systems and an abundance of resources. Their dissatisfaction could spell financial ruin for the peripheral territories. As evening drew near, Liana filled another container with food, yet a weight lingered in her heart. Would she still find a way to share meals with her friend if circumstances took a turn for the worse? The idea of letting him go without food tightened her gut. She discovered Kethvar in his familiar place, yet there was an unmistakable change. His glowing patterns were more vivid, throbbing in intricate rhythms she had never encountered before. He had company. 3 imposing figures in refined garments loomed close by, unmistakably Zephyrians, yet vibrant and robust, their designs radiating with command and strength. As she drew near, they pivoted, revealing instruments in their grasp that could solely be deemed as weapons. Liana, Kethvar spoke, his voice more powerful than she had ever experienced. Do not let fear take hold. She stood still, the food container quivering in her grasp. What is going on? One of the cloaked individuals advanced and articulated in a distinct yet comprehensible English. A human female, you have been tending to Kethvar Xanthara, Grand Admiral of the Zephyrian Trade Consortium and successor to the 7-star throne. The words struck her with the force of a tangible impact. That isn't possible. Kethvar's patterns throbbed in a way she recognized as a smile. 6 months ago, I sustained injuries from an assassination attempt. My vessel met its fate here, and the damage to my mind has rendered me as you discovered. My people have been diligently seeking. However, you are. She motioned with a sense of futility at his frail figure, mending gradually. The harm to my neural connections is finally healing. Kethvar labored to rise, finally managing to stand for the first time since she had met him. His movements were unsteady yet resolute. My team was eager to pull me out right away, but I insisted they hold on a bit longer. What are we waiting for? To grasp the reason behind a person nurturing a fading extraterrestrial daily for months, anticipating no reward in exchange. To determine whether your kind is worthy of the alliance we have been contemplating dissolving. The foremost Zephyrian advanced nearer. The Grand Admiral has mentioned your generosity consistently in his communications to the consortium. Your efforts have averted what could have turned into a catastrophic economic conflict. Liana experienced a wave of lightheadedness. He had an appetite. Anyone could have. No, Kethvar stated with conviction, his designs now radiating in vibrant gold and blue. I have been watching your people for months. They passed by without a glance, disregarding my presence, and a few even showed their disdain in the most contemptuous way. Only you demonstrated kindness to a fading extraterrestrial unfamiliar. He delved into a concealed crease of his worn attire and pulled out a diminutive apparatus that shimmered with an inner radiance. Liana of New Karachi, the Zephyrian Trade Consortium humbly requests your esteemed presence as the inaugural human ambassador to our kind. The compensation is, he mentioned a figure that left her feeling unsteady. And you would supervise the establishment of 5 new trade routes that will usher in prosperity for numerous human colonies. The other Zephyrians inclined their heads with great reverence, a sign of deep respect in their tradition. But I'm merely a server at the diner, she murmured. You are a person who gazed upon a vulnerable soul and recognized a companion deserving of rescue, Kethvar responded. That is precisely the type of individual we require to connect different species. As the truth settled in, Liana reflected on Raza, on Mama Chen's diner, on all the people who would gain from the ongoing alliance with the Zephyrians. She reflected on the straightforward decision she had taken months prior to offer her lunch to someone she didn't know. At times, she understood that even the tiniest gestures of goodwill could transform the universe. I accept, she stated plainly. Above them, the initial Zephyrian diplomatic vessels commenced their descent through New Karachi's atmosphere, their running lights illuminating the sky in designs of optimism and unity. Finished.